All right, thank you for coming to attending our Cogitate webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about some year beginning W-2s, W-4s, things like that, security, changes that we've done. And then we're also going to be talking about the barcode gun. So we're going to cover some recent changes that will be coming. Either I'm going to be doing a release, we'll be doing a release later today. So I want to show the changes from as well as for today. Then we're going to cover some W-2 procedures and a few other year-end things, miscellaneous things, just to make sure to remind everybody how certain things work. And then I'm going to do a little barcode show and tell. All right, so let's begin with W-2 processing. There's a couple of things we want to make sure that we, convey again every year, is that you have each of the deduction codes set correctly on the W-2. So there's W-2 info, there's whether it's a W-4 or a 1099. So if we go into, payroll and we go to deduction types, lots of different deduction types. Again, Chippewas, we have somewhat of Chippewas data, but basically you got your W-2 setup is here where it's either a box 12 or a box 14. So if we come down through here, let's see if he's got one set. I was playing with them. Here we go. So the box 14, you need to give a name and it's a box 14. Let's see, probably MERS would be a box 14, 4H2. So again, you have these fields here to play with on your W-2s when you're processing them. So again, just kind of make sure you go through those, and anything that, should be reported on a W-2, is got the setting that you need to have in here for it. If it's a box 12, it's going to ask you for the appropriate box 12 code that you might have to do. All right, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. All right, and then a couple of things on employees to remind you for W-2 calcs. Employees need to have a type and be set to active for the W-2 calc. So for employees, we want to make sure that everybody here has people have a type. So if this is blank on any employee, it's going to throw a kind of a confusion in some of the works that we do for the W-2 calculation. Now, you make sure we need to have that. We need to have, it's very important that they have where'd it go? I thought it was on here, but it might be here. That they have a social security number. So these are all important things to have to make sure. But once you run the W-2 calc, you can kind of look and see if there's something missing. I'll show you some of the shortcuts that I use when we're doing it, just to see what might be construed as some kind of a missing value. So following up with that, let me go ahead and just do a W-2 calc. So we're going to pick this year. I'll go ahead and just do a recalculate. So if you get the message that says you want to calculate again, if you make any changes to people in the deductions or the overall thing, then you'll need to recalculate for those to take effect on the W-2s. Once you've calculated the W-2s, then you can turn around and recalculate the W-2s as many times as you want. However, and just seconds, takes a little bit. When you come back, if you want to modify a W-2, once you modify a W-2, if you recalculate, everything you did with using this modify button to change something will go back. But I was covering before when we have things missing. So like I just sort the column. And if there's anything missing when you sort it, this line will be blank up here. So for things like that you're getting, it's important to make sure that, they have a value, as well as the other thing to make sure is that your total count is correct. We have a total count of number of employees right here, 79 that are in here. Sometimes you have employees that, may not need to have any kind of W-2. So mostly our program will notify that and not print one if they don't need one. But, basically, again, it's kind of a, if like that's for some reason, we think that this one's erroneous, so we can uncheck him. And so when we go to print a W-3, it won't include the dollar amounts for anything that's unchecked. So these all have to be checked in order for them to be added to the W-3 when we process the W-3. The other things to remember is, making sure most of them are, we kind of defaulted to 941. A lot of places have none. Some places might have, you might fall under state non-local 501c, but I don't think you are. I believe everybody's a none apply, but just in case you need that tick mark checked, then that's what you can do. We print the following forms: the copy A, copy 1, 4 up, and 4 up without. Everything is on plain paper here. So you can easily print these many, many, many times until you finally get it. If you do a printout and then you walk through the printout, it doesn't look right. You can simply, go to, you can go and shred what you have and then start up with another set and print it again. So there's no real reason to worry about, forms, or did I print it on the forms and now I don't have it on the forms. A W-3 is a good one to kind of start with when you're running through a branch of these. So, if you go ahead and you say print the W-3, you can come through here and kind of get the total for the year of your wages and tips. And everything is, like I said, this is a fully printable W-3. You print it on plain paper. The government will take it because it has our magic code number 1233 on it. Just so that's why this all works. So we have, again, it's not that hard to run through these things. The other thing to note is when you're printing your 4-ups for your ones, we already had one issue this year where somehow it ran out of memory when they tried to print it. So I'm going to go ahead and, say print this one. This is what you'd send to your employees. So they would get, this little printout, and then, the next page, but with instructions means you're going to print it on both sides. So it depends. Some people buy the perforated paper, but the federal government has indicated, again, to remind everybody that when you print these, you have to cut them for your employees. You can't just hand them a piece of paper with it printed like that if the paper is not perforated. So it's kind of a little rule they have on the plain paper printing, is that it's either perforated, and you can buy the perforated stock with the backs already printed at a lot of places, but just, but you don't have to. I mean, you can still print on both sides and get it right, and then cut, basically in the margins here, the form out. So it's not, it's pretty easy to do. The thing I wanted to tell people also about is if, for some reason, if you have too many, like here's 158 pages, if somehow your PC or something runs out of memory, you can click over here on the print preview and save this as a PDF and then print this with like Adobe Reader or something, and it will be very, it will print just fine from the Adobe, because the way the print engine from the Adobe works is it queues it little bits at a time, where our software doesn't know how to queue it. It just basically puts it all one big file sent to the printer. A lot of printers, if they have enough memory, will be able to take it just fine. But if you come in there and you start printing and you get it out of memory, that's what it's about. You just have to save it to a file and use an Adobe Reader to go ahead and print it. Let's see, is there anything else? Yes. A lot of people are asking about what is an SSA user ID. That is that's your BSO user ID. It looks like a W6553XYT is kind of like what ours is. So it's not a very, it's you get it from the BSO when you sign up to be able to send electronic. We did already apply a couple of test runs through the W2 AccuWage, so you shouldn't have any issues with the file you send up. If you do, let us know. That would be very helpful. But beyond that, it's pretty much, should be just good to go. We haven't really changed a lot in the whole processing this year. I just like to remind everybody at the beginning of the year, because you're going to be running these soon, if you haven't already run them. That's the quick upshot of the W-2s. The other thing that I wanted to cover kind of for the year-ending things is, your beginning things is when you're doing your equipment, you will have to apply, or you should have already, but your equipment rental updates. And so you would go ahead and pick 2023, put in your percentages, and then if you have a single code, you can put in a single code. The percentages are based on, if you put in 0, that means it's going to be the exact amount that the rate wage that comes in from the government. If you want your state amount, so 0 really means 100 if you think about it. And if you wanted, 10% more than 100, you'd put in 10%. As well as if you want like a 90%, that would be like a negative 10%. That would give you 90%. So it's a little bit, different in that aspect, but I just wanted to cover that again on our webinars so that everybody gets a chance, if they watch it, to be able to run their state rental, updates if they need to. All right. Let's cover then some of the changes. As you're looking at some of these things, you're going to be noticing a lot of our menus changed this last period. We took out the action words like maintain, setup, create, and from the titles of our menu items. So if you go to one of the, like payroll's a good one. We used to have setup bank types, setup benefits, setup deduction types. There's no really need for that verb to be there. And we will be adjusting at some point of the videos and the manual to reflect those changes. But they will be coming on your next release when we get, as we come through those. So we have things like, bank character. This used to be create W-2. This used to be payroll tax report wizard. Now it's just payroll tax reports. Some things moved around. So some of this view and unimportant stuff used to be over in the posting. Some of it have moved into like utilities, kind of where we think these things should be, because they're not really it's not really a posting, it's more of a utility. Or it's part of a setup and a maintenance. So, but we try to stay true to those. So again, I believe the other place that we moved a lot of things was general ledger. We moved a couple of things over. They used to be over here, like cost of road spread, fringe, and those used to be down here. We kind of put those over in the utilities. We have tools. We moved tools around quite a bit. So we have permit posts. Ignore this, is just my test code. You won't see this one, but so you'll see permit posts, the barcode printers, and the different repair, like the MDOT transition. They used to all just be under posting, and we've split them into their appropriate areas. So while nothing really changed, some things just moved around. The biggest thing that moved from category to category is in general ledger. We moved make deposits to the general ledger, as well as the undue deposits that used to be in the customers. But in here, it kind of didn't really make sense. Making a deposit is really more of a general ledger activity. So that is why it is now in the make deposit activity is in the general ledger. So you should see that We're excited about the new naming and, kind of cleaning it up and making it a little simpler on things that, so the names can, make a little more sense. We did change bank accounts to financial institutions to help us from getting tongue-tied when we're talking about it and somebody thinking it's the payroll banks and not a true physical bank. So we'll be referring, some of these things will get referred to now as the new thing, as the brand new name. Just kind of let you know that happened. Let's see what some of the other changes and updates we did. Okay, so last month we did, go back to the beginning of the month. We fixed an issue in the menu where it was locking for the correct username. That was when we were doing the locking on our postings for our postings for things like when you're in Payroll Post or in GL Post, it would lock and make sure that nobody else would get the journal correctly. As well as the message that was displayed, and that's what the problem was. The message was showing the wrong user had it locked. So we got that to show the correct user who has it locked. Reports, this is still being worked on by Brett, the AP Checks board report. It's sometimes not showing it. We've worked with it 3 or 4 different times and still haven't quite got it correct on our update. We have updated I showed you the AccuWage was done. We've improved the performance on the unimport of time cards. We spent a lot of times you probably aren't using this yet unless you're using the new time card system, but it used to be really, really slow. We fixed an issue where time cards could be unimported, incorrectly. We worked with to merge journals because we found that one place we were merging journals, we were actually not working correctly. We would lose information from the original journal. So it was kind of we fixed these little things like that have cropped up, things we hadn't tested thoroughly just because there's infinite ways of testing things. And we try to just do mainstream and then somehow these things get through. When we updated and fixed the Wisconsin tax table, Wisconsin had, again, more changes to change the verbiage and to make sure it looks right. If you've got the latest updates, you should have all the new tax tables for the 2023 season. If your last check for updates was right at the end of December, there was a last minute change that we had to put in for the state of Michigan. If you already did one payroll with the older one, it's okay. It's basically the difference between 5,000. We had the number of the exemption amount set incorrectly to 5,000 instead of 5,300. So that has been updated. So today or tomorrow, if you do a check for updates, you will pick up that new value. But we released that on the 29th, I think, for the state for a state tax table update. I think that was this one. Yep. No, that was our first cut. Oh, yeah. And then we had the program is still showing the copy only version on the 2023 W4 ups. So it said copy only on it. We've removed the watermark. Let's see. We added state code validation when exiting the state code edit box and equipment. Yes, we changed. One of the things that we wanted was when you're in the edit box. So let me go there real quick because it's hard to explain, easy to see. If I go to equipment, we'll just bring up the snowplow right here. The state code, we force it to be a 3-character extension here. So we played with how this state code itself is reported. So that does a little bit more validation on it, and it doesn't let you put in 62.11. You have to put in 112. So things like that, just so you understand, that's kind of what that's talking about. It's a little, sometimes we get a little bit wordy or vague in our descriptions on the updates. So that kind of covers the changes and the updates that we've done. All right, so we're going to come in here a little show and tell. The barcode gun is progressing along. We had some other issues that came up at the end of the year for year end that put the project on pause, but we're going to be back on it again this month. We're expecting to release it by the end of the month. We're really, really close. I'm going to show and tell quite a bit of it so you can kind of see the direction it's going in. But we wanted to cover a few things that are happening. We have a few, if you still are on the old gun, the old annual support increases, the next billing, it's going to be going from 400 to 600. So it'll be a $200 annual increase on it. If you want to purchase it, the initial cost will be $2,500. And if you currently have support to the older one, a brand new gun will be sent to you free of charge when we have it finally released. The other thing that is important is the new gun works off of Wi-Fi, so you'll need to make sure you have a Wi-Fi out in your shop. If you're having trouble getting that, you can let us know. You can also, the new gun is an Android phone based, so you could purchase a data-only SIM card for the device if you want, but that would be that'd be something you guys would be purchasing on your own, mainly because there's 100 different data plans out there. So it's kind of up to you what you want to use. All of which, basically allows the gun to connect to the portal, just like a cell phone, just like, other ways we did it. There's no real docking like the current gun. You sit back and then you dock the gun and it does it. Now the updates are all real time. So they go right into the database, right into the system as you do it. And then you have a process of where it's kind of very similar to the time card where the barcode gun writes out pending transactions and then they need to be imported to create the official transaction. So that way the barcode gun concentrates mostly on the things. It uses direct access to all of the data that it has. So what I mean by that, and you'll see in a minute, is it goes off and reads directly from the database, quantity on hand, value on hand, things like that. So if they try to scan on something and we don't think we have one, it won't let them put the scan in on those devices anymore. So just a lot of things like that make it a little bit more helpful as far as making sure we don't accidentally scan the wrong thing, and apply it. So with no further ado, the first thing I want to do is go back to here, and I'm going to show you the current gun, the way it looks. So this is what the barcode gun looks like. I don't know if you can see that very well. I can't see myself on my screen, so yeah, well, okay, but you get the idea. I mean, it's a nice gun. You'll get one if you're currently on our barcode thing. You're going to get one for free. That we'll send to you. Just we've got them in the boxes. We just got to get them loaded. Does everything kind of like, I don't know if you can see the big square on behind me. It does a nice job with marking and everything. It's like I said, it's an Android device. So it has a good look to it. It's got a lot of neat stuff it's doing. As well as if you have this and our new time card system, then you can they could actually put their time on using the barcode gun. They could actually enter their time into our system from the barcode gun if they needed to. So it just has a lot of pieces to it. I think you can see the barcode emulator. Can you see it, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our emulator. It's kind of like the screenshot of it. So this is what the application will look like. I'm going to go ahead and start with a log out. We'll do a login. So the login will be again their username, their employee number, and then we have a pin in there So it'll be their employee number and PIN. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a login. So they'll log in so we can kind of, have some security on the gun when they're done, when they log out or when the gun goes to sleep. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick charge. So if I go to 0543, I think, as a piece of equipment. And then I go to an inventory code of 0.4045, I think. There's our equipment code. Nope. I don't know if you could hear the fun noises it makes. And normally they would just be hitting a scan to scan this in off a sheet, obviously, but they could type it in and then we'll just save it. And there, put one into the database. So that was a simple charge. Now going back, if I want to hit a receive, we can put in, your purchase order number or just a straight inventory code. So if I'm going to just put in 0178 and I just received 10. And now if I have the price each was, and it looks like it's going to force one right now. So I don't have a purchase order with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear it. But that's how receive would work, simple, straightforward. Let me go back. We'll go to a physical. Again, a physical inventory code quantity is saved. Puts a physical record out there that says this is the new physical amount. Meter reads, the gun, you go up there, you scan the equipment number, and then you put whatever the mileage or the hours in, and then you save it, or both. You can put both in. And you can save it and that'll get imported. Mapping a barcode, that's if you have an existing barcode, like the manufacturer's labels on the thing, and you want to say, when I scan that manufacturer's label, this is the real inventory code I want to do. So you can scan those in and make that go again, just like before. And then the new thing, which is the lookup. So if you scan in and you do a lookup, it will show you your current units on hand, anything that's pending, anything that's on order, and then the total amount, as well as the description that it has. Now, this is just something, we've got a lot of, testing in here we're still doing to get these things right, but we're really close on getting it, out. So then on the other end of this, when let's see if that's all I got for the gun. You want to clear all values? Yes. That's all I have on the gun. There's a few other things we can do. I don't know if they're coded yet, but we're going to be planning on being able to go look at the transactions. We're going to show you all. It'll be showing, here's the 2 charges that I put in today, but it'll show all the transactions that you have put in that it took. Let's see, a few other little things. You got all the standard. We have some settings in here that this is really, for your login, your portal, your port, and the device. So it's very much like the time card thing where you lock in a device for each of the guns. So there'll be a little bit of a setup when you get a gun, but it should be pretty straightforward. Let's see. And there's another question is, can this be used on just an Android phone? The answer is yes, you could set it up on an Android phone. You would have to give it a device and an ID and lock it in for it to be used on any Android device. So, it's not just on the wide world web like the new time card system is, but you can certainly use the backbone of the internet if you wanted to put it on a basic Android device. The only thing you miss off an Android device is, of course, there's no barcode scanner on your Android device. And we haven't, we're not going to try to do the thing with the camera where you take a picture and then it scans it. We found that just you need to be able to pull a trigger and it just scans real quick. So that's why I got a gun with a nice trigger and a little keypad on it. It's very, like I said, it's a very nice little piece of hardware that's put together to make it very easy to use. So is there any questions on the actual gun and how it's going to look and feel and work when you get one? All right, so last thing I want to show is what happens when you get a listing of, so we're going to come in here and we're going to import some stuff for today. And we have all of our activity here that we're showing. This is just mock-up data we have, but the idea is you will see receives, charges, physical, meter readings, and scans. So when you're this is that scan map thing. Meter readings, this is, your meter reading, your effective date and equipment code, kind of thing. So we come in here again. This is just testing data that we're using. For physicals, these are the new physicals. So we have some things that we have to, kind of do here. Very, very, a lot of stuff in here to go through, but I'll be doing this when we do a full release. We'll have a video on how to run it, things like that. Some things are in red in here because we have some errors because we don't have a value on hand. So they did a receive or they did a charge with something that had a no value on hand. So you got to kind of look at that. Sometimes it's got to be that you need to apply the receives first. So we kind of put this in order of the way things would normally need to be doing. You do your receives coming through here, and you would say import all the receives, clicking that button, it would go through and import all these receives. Then the charges, with those receives in place, the charges may, revalidate themselves correctly because you're receiving stuff, that are on different, that were posted on different dates, but because the barcode gun receives, we don't know really the physical date it is. It's going to be based on, when you hit the import date. But either way you look at it, it's, you get the idea. There's going to be some things in there that, little things we have to work out. But like I said, we're hoping to have all this stuff done by the end of next week. It shouldn't be too much longer on the gun. So again, I just want to show you that, the way it's going to work and kind of that there'll be, and these charges will stay out here, until you actually either you can click them. You can delete them if you want to delete that charge and say it's just a really bad charge that was on the gun and I don't want to do it. So you can delete it. Or you can make changes here to some of the values that were brought in to say, oh, we need to have, a different price each or a different value or a different amount. So just a lot of little niceties, for this from the other import scan data where it was just kind of a one, you park the gun and then it would do it and you didn't really have a whole lot of ability to make adjustments at the time it was importing. So can kind of more in line with how we do the time card import. We wanted the barcode import to be very, very, user friendly and with the ability to get things, in a correct order by hitting your receives first and then your charges. All right, that's all I have for this Monday. I'm going to open it up to any questions at all. Let me see.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.